I'm on. Dave Wilsey. Hello?
That's all right. They got
Can anybody hear me?
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call the Boone County Board meeting of March 17th to order at 5:36 PM. First and foremost, happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving. Oh my gosh. St. Patrick's Day.
All right.
Know where you've been.
Everyone, there we go. Let's have turkey.
Yeah, no.
That's right. That's right. Oh, wow, it was a long day.
Yeah, happy something.
We'll start with Pledge of Allegiance and then remain standing for an invocation from Board Member Wahlberg.
Okay.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Lord, we pray for the people here tonight and those who serve our county. Provide us with the knowledge and good discernment as we make decisions for the people of Boone County. We pray for international peace in this time of uncertainty today. In your name we pray. Amen.
Excellent. Roll call, please.
Johnson,
Here.
Sherry Geeske,
Here.
Brian Curry,
Here.
Freddie De La Trinidad,
Here.
Ray Larson,
Here.
Rodney Riley,
Here.
Bill Robertson,
Here.
Steve Schabacher,
Here.
Tom Walker,
Here. We'll all recall that you should have received an email from the county clerk that Board Member Pelt and Board Member Wiltsey would like to attend virtually. So I would ask for a motion to approve that.
So moved. Second.
Mr. Robertson, seconded by Mr. Schabacher. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Welcome, Mr. Wiltsey and Mrs. Bartelt.
Hello.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, I would ask for a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Geeske, seconded by Mr. Larson. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, I'd ask for approval of the February 3rd, 2022 Special County Board Minutes and February 17th County Board Minutes.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Curry, seconded by Ms. Geeske. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Public comment. Did we have any emails? Dan? I have one for public comment here. Dara McGinnis. If you would, please make sure you state your name and address for the record. And we'll give you your 3 minutes. Go ahead.
Thank you. Dara McGinnis, 10861 Spring Road, Garden Prairie. Discuss and not discuss, actually, just talk about temporary use permit applications. It's come to my attention by mistake that the temporary use permit application process, I feel, has some broken processes to it that a lot of people, now that this has been in my lap, have agreed to that there are problems with this process. I'm just going to give a few of them to you. I hope to speak to you guys again about this at another time, but I felt the sooner I bring this to your attention, the faster we can make some changes. Again, this came to my attention by mistake. A neighbor of mine is actually applying for a different permit. Found out he had 2 permits. One of them is the temporary use for a rodeo / concert music next door. It's been a lot of effort to find how and why this process is not in any favor of mine. So you guys understand the temporary use permit is not public knowledge. I cannot find the temporary use permit that the applicant submits online before it's approved or after it's approved. So for this one particular is next to my house, within about 50 feet of my house. If this is to get approved by the building department, it will be a rodeo and event of potentially 7 different bands. I was told by the building department that this will be approved within 14 days to their event. So if I would like to have an event at my home in my backyard, call 14 days before my event that I want to have, and they'll let me know if this is approved. Okay, this rodeo could bring in anywhere between 4, 5, 6, up to 700 people in my potential backyard. The music will go from 10 a.m. till 10 p.m. So I really feel like something here at the board needs to be looked at for that purpose. There's no reason I have to call Diane every single day to find out if this is being approved next to my house so that I can plan a graduation party for my daughter. If I want to appeal this process, I have 20 days to appeal, but she only has 14 days to give me notice. There's some numbers that aren't right there. There's also information in here I don't feel is appropriate. The way that it gets approved through Diane, through the different departments, my township board isn't even aware of when these are approved or even denied. It just seems like there needs to be a little bit more open, more information available.
Ms. McGinnis, are you wrapping up here? Your
Yep.
time is up.
Also, there's what they call security plan. When this is approved, it just says security plan. I would like to know more in detail at some point what security plan. So in regards to this temporary use permit, there needs to be some look at changes to ordinances. And if anybody wants to look and see what's happening next to my house potentially, I'll happy to be handing this out because they're already advertising that they're having 7 bands and giving free alcohol from 1 to 3.
Thank you very much. Next up, we have no appointments this evening. Council on Aging.
Sorry about that. I stopped out there today and talked to the folks out there. They had this information that they'd like me to present to the board.
Mr. Spacher, could I have you just talk a little closer to your microphone so everybody can hear you? I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. It's my fault.
Ms. Bliss keeps hitting me because it's not recording right, so my arm's getting sore.
Quit doing it. All right. What they had mentioned to me was they'd like to, Kennedy Center would like the board to get some of this information. But it states here, our tax aid volunteers are providing assistance in tax preparation. They have added additional appointments due to the demand. Staff providing assistance with property tax fees. The thing here says ARP will be returning to providing safe driver courses in May. Another item they have here are partnering with local providers, including U of I Extension and Ida Public Library, to name a few to provide additional educational support for caregivers. Continue to have employment vacancies in the public transportation and community care program. This is, of course, out there, so they're having some vacancies out there for drivers. If you know of anyone, please send them over to the Kennedy Center. That's it.
Thank you very much. What dimensions? Ms. Pettis.
Thank you. I have it on?
Is that on?
Yeah, okay, looks like it's on. All right. Kind of give you a brief update on some of the projects that we're working on. We actually have 64 open projects, 9 which has started in 2022. 35 of those have been industrial. And in 2022, we have enterprise zone projects. We have 5 projects, 4 of which have been industrial and 1 commercial. These represent 3 businesses and almost 32,000 in construction materials and 157 capital investment for our area. In addition, wanted to share with you some of the activity that we've been involved in, and we engage with businesses all the time. So we're starting to record the number of calls actually and connections that we make with businesses. We've had 55 calls since the beginning of the year. 36 were new calls, basically new businesses that we've never been connected to. 19 had been returning, and 9 were regarding investment opportunities. We are also working with businesses and trying to identify them in order to connect with the school districts and for internship programs. We've had 33 businesses that we've been working with this program. 3 businesses have committed with opportunities. So we're hoping to at least get 10 students that are interested in some of those in internships. These are for seniors in their last semester of school. And this is to give them some engagement with the manufacturing and automotive industries. We also have been working with the Workforce Connection, and we have about 10 open referrals, and we continue to refer people for production and labor occupations. We had a couple of different conferences and meetings this last few weeks. One had been the ACE conference. This was an expo that was held in Rockford, and part of it was virtual. The first day was virtual, the second day was in person. And we had about 50 people that attended this event, representing different businesses and organizations. And the goal was to connect them with resources available in our region. Then we had the second day in person, and a lot of networking was able to happen as a result. The other initiative we have was we're working with the Kauffman Foundation. We're going to be applying for a grant. We've been blessed with having some Hispanic leaders in our community that have been advisors, very core advisors, to identify what the challenges have been and how we can respond to that challenge. We're very fortunate that Freddie has been part of that. Today we met just this afternoon and got a lot of good information, validated some data, and also allowed us with some new data to identify some of the gaps that we have in delivering services in our community. They're a large part of our region. The county represents about 25% Hispanic population. Our businesses are help with our economy and the growth of our community. And our goal is to help them grow and help them prosper, just like any other business. So what we need to do is identify what those challenges are and respond to those challenges. And we've also have been working with the region, with Ogle County and a lot of rural communities on broadband solutions and problems that are relevant in our communities. We received an award with the Accelerate Illinois program. This is not a financial award. It's really a planning award. And we're going to be working with the Benning Institute and many other professionals in that field that is going to be able to provide us with technical assistance and guidance. With this plan, we'll be able to apply for some resources to bring some solutions to our community for broadband. So we have a representative. We're looking for a representative for the county. We have a representative from Growth Dimensions and from the city of Belvedere. And so if you're interested, I guess just contact Chairman Johnson and or whether or not it be somebody with various expertise, whether or not it's technical expertise or planning expertise, that, we would appreciate some engagement at the county level. I think that's pretty much it, a summary.
Questions for Growth Dimensions? Anyone on the phone have questions? Thank you very much, Pam.
Thank you.
CASA.
Good evening. Current numbers, advocate status, we have a total number of advocates, 26. We have 22 that are active. Unfortunately, we have 82 abused and neglected children that are currently being served, which means we need more advocates. Coming up in April is Prevent Child Abuse Awareness Month. Should be every month, but April is named. Boone County CASA will be painting the blue pinwheels on Midland States Bank on the corner of State and Logan. One pinwheel per child that we are advocating for as of March 31st. Local businesses will be selling blue ribbons for $1 throughout the month of April to raise funds, increase awareness. So if you are or know of a local business owner that would be willing to participate, please call the CASA office at 815-547-6599. We'll be participating in the volunteer fair at the Rockford City Market on April 1st. Urging everybody in our county to wear blue on April 4th. On the way of showing support. Mayor Morris will be also signing a proclamation on that day, on April 4th at the city council meeting. But we're reaching out to area churches to see if they'd be willing to participate as well. So if you know anybody that would be willing to participate in that, it's obviously a pretty amazing cause and much needed. So reach out to that office. Again, her name is Charlotte, and or you can contact me, but their number is 815-547-6599. Thank you.
Questions for CASA? Thank you. Next up, Region 1. We had a meeting today with Region 1, presentation regarding the latest infrastructure bill that was passed, and just some overviews as to what was in that, what kind of grants are available in it, just kind of a very broad overview. There's a considerable amount of money for, as you could expect, electric vehicle and sustainability energies and things like that. There's for infrastructure, bridges, rail, things like that also. So I want to say 65 billion for rail, I think was in there. So an emphasis on mass transportation, those kinds of things. So pretty big overview. I'm sure Justin will be involved in a lot more of that as we go further and have opportunities and what kinds of things we can tap into, but just kind of a big overview and lots of information that not at us. There was about 60 or 70 of us there at that meeting. So, but that's kind of nice. So there's potential for some more money out there for us to improve infrastructures, hopefully. Next up, we have some representatives here from Illinois Extension. I'm not sure who is here. So gentlemen, if you'd like to come on up, let us know who you are, and do you need address too? Name and address, do you need that? If you could give us your name and address for the record, that'd be awesome.
Good evening. My name is Michael Delaney, and representing University of Illinois Extension. I'd love to give you our Boone County office address. It is, I believe, 805 Cadillac Court, Belvedere, Illinois. My colleague, Joseph Malowell, is visiting us from Naperville, but he is also associated with the Extension office here in Boone County.
Okay.
Right?
Yep, absolutely.
Great. Well, Chairman Johnson, members of the board, thank you so much for the opportunity to be here this evening and present about the University of Illinois Extension and the community and economic development work that Mr. Malowell and I are part of here in the northern part of Illinois, and for me in particular with respect to Boone County. My name is Mike Delaney, and I'm an Extension educator on the Community and Economic Development team for Extension. I'm joined this evening, as I mentioned, by my colleague Joseph Malowell, who is an Extension specialist for the CED team, as we call it. And he is based out of Naperville, covering basically a territory that encompasses about 15 counties stretching across northern and northeastern Illinois. I'll start off the presentation by saying a few words about Extension and its community and economic development functions. Then I'll pass the microphone to Joseph, who can tell you a bit about what he does as an Extension specialist. And then I'll come back and tell you a bit about what I specifically do here in the Boone County area as an Extension educator. Extension, as many of you might well know, is the University of Illinois statewide network of educators, faculty, experts, and staff dedicated to the mission of linking local communities to the university. This work should align research to needs and translate that research into action plans that allow Illinois families, businesses, and community leaders to solve problems, make informed decisions, and adapt to changes and opportunities. Extension itself consists of 4 core program areas. Many of you will be familiar with the 4-H youth development. The remaining 3 include agriculture and natural resources. Say that one 5 times fast. Many of you might be familiar with the Master Gardener or Master Naturalist programs. We also have the family and consumer sciences area, which includes, for example, SNAP Ed educational offerings. And then last but not least, community and economic development. We're a team, the CED team statewide consists of about 14 individuals, professionals spread statewide. And we bring a broad range, a strikingly broad range actually, of skill sets to the task of helping build capacity in the communities that we serve. The work that we do and the program we deliver is intended to help community leaders, residents, businesses, and organizations access the tools, training, and planning they need to strengthen and improve their businesses and their communities. I'll call to your attention the handout that was provided in the materials for this evening's meeting. It goes into a bit more detail. We've got a short overview of what CED is, a little bit of information about programming, who we are, and some statistics on one of our key services, which is the local government education webinar series. Our CED programming itself breaks out into basically 3 key areas. The local government education area that I mentioned just a few moments ago, community planning support, which includes our, for example, Extension Disaster Education Network, and facilitation services for community initiatives. And finally, economic development, which includes customer service training, broadband webinar series, an interesting array of and variety of services, all designed to underpin and support communities and regions' efforts to develop economically. One example of the work that we do and its connection to Boone County in particular is a local government education webinar that I myself moderated. This goes back to last summer. It was on a piece of legislation that I found very interesting. It might be for some of the policy wonks, it might have been equally interesting for other folks, perhaps not so much, on the omnibus election reform law. And one of the fun ties to Boone County was that one of the expert panelists on that presentation was Boone County's very own Julie Bliss. So on that note, I'm going to pass the microphone and the torch to Joseph, and he's going to tell you a bit about the activities that he as a specialist delivers for our region generally.
Okay, thank you, and nice to be here. It has been a long COVID, and I think it's my first time with people, in front of me. Like, it's very happy to see people's faces without the mask. So hope that's going to be the end of it. I'm Joseph Malwan, and Extension Specialist Mike was talking about, not really different than what he's doing. So he's a county educator. I used to be a county educator in Wisconsin. And then when I moved to Illinois, I became a specialist. So we basically do the same thing, except that Mike is more specialized because he's close to the county, but I'm regional. In which case, I don't really get to people like this, which I miss a lot. But what I do is, a variety of things. So one of them is that sitting with the community and understand their situations, what they are trying to address, and then from there, thinking about, okay, how can extension, the university bring some tools into that, whether it is, external resources or knowledge that we have or research that we have. That's what I do. And we don't do that by ourselves. So if you are thinking about a project that is not within the scope of what we provide here, we can always talk and we can link you to other programs at the campus or even within the state or at the national level. So we access this information even out of the United States. Something that I'm working on right now is, and I don't pick what to do. All what we do is informed by the needs. So we do need an assessment to justify why we pick some programs. One of the programs I'm working on right now is to work with young and beginning farmers, along with my colleagues who are looking at also the out migration of young people in rural areas and other towns, and bring these together and see what is happening, what's going on, and how can communities, what are they doing to begin with? What is the community doing about out migration, and how can extension help with that? So we base our work on existing initiative and infrastructure so that it can be sustained by the community. It's a lot. I know we don't have time for that, but I would be happy to make a relationship because the CED, the community and economic development, is really based on relationship with the community. Otherwise, we cannot. It's not like an ag where you deal with the farmers directly, but this is a relational to understand exactly what's going on and how can we be part of any initiative. I'm going to go back to you again.
Thank you, Joseph. As you can see, we've got some really talented and smart people available as resources. And let me emphasize at this point that really what Extension wants to be for the people of Boone County is a resource. Educational programming, research-based, really, again, connecting to the University of Illinois. For me, the work I do in Boone County and in the other counties that I serve here in Northern Illinois, it's certainly about bringing programming, but perhaps more importantly, it's about generating connections. It's one of the things that I find most enjoyable about being in the role. As I mentioned at the start, Extension is certainly meant to be a connection for Boone County University. It's learning, but I'm really keen on fostering those connections within the county and within the region. One of my favorite examples recently of how that can happen is in an event that I organized last October here in our Boone County offices in connection with a federal webinar on export trade promotion. Sounds a bit dry, but this one was an export trade promotion targeting minority businesses. And we brought together in the same room for a watch party a number of organizations, leaders and officials from Boone County, some of whom are in the room this evening, as well as representatives of various local groups, such as the Rockford Regional Hispanic Chamber, statewide groups like the Illinois Hispanic Chamber, and a variety of interesting folks. These folks, in the context of this event, not only had the opportunity to meet Adam Shanks, the newly appointed director of the U.S. Export Assistance Center, but also they had an opportunity to talk to one another. And I think the folks that were there will verify that it was a lively discussion on top of the webinar that actually has produced some interesting dividends going forward in the community. Relying on, I know I rely on connections in the community that we try to serve. And for example, one of those connections, this person that likely many of you know, Heather Wick of Growth Dimensions, is serving on a CED advisory council that we put together to help inform, as Joseph mentioned, needs assessments that we like to do to inform our programming and the services that we deliver. Another member of the council is the incoming executive director of the Workforce Connection, the workforce development organization that serves the county. I'm sure many of you are familiar with that. And tomorrow, fun little tidbit, we're actually going to visit the new Advanced Technology Center that Rock Valley has built, which happens to be right across the street from our offices. Again, in an effort not only to learn the capabilities, but to develop the practice. Speaking of connections, one of the things that we'd like to do looking forward as we focus on needs-based programming is I'd be delighted to engage any of you in conversation if you might have a sense of needs in the region that might be addressed through some research-based educational programming that isn't otherwise being provided. We had some conversations here. We're always open to opportunities for conversations, short over coffee, can be longer. If you want to have a more serious and group conversation, we're open for that as well. To kind of give you a sense of some of the things that might be possible, I'd note one project that I'm currently working on is a program that's been piloted out east. It's an interesting opportunity. A program that is designed targeting high schoolers is an attempt to get them involved in thinking about what's good about their communities in an effort to reinforce the notion that it's someplace that they can stay or return to. B, actually get them active involved at an early age in making their community a better place. I'd be happy if there are any educators in the room or in the audience to have a longer conversation with you about ways that we might recruit some folks in the education community to be involved in that project. Another program, just to throw one out that I think is really interesting, that we on the CED team run is poverty simulation, a very much sought after workshop that is designed to help inform individuals about the systemic consequences of extended poverty and certainly helps to develop empathy for folks in that condition, but can also help facilitate discussions about ways to address the issues in a community or a region. Again, we are connectors and educators, and we'd like to use the resources that we have, that we can bring to bear to address issues that you here in the community might have as top of mind issues. I think we've probably reached our allotted time at this point. So in closing, on behalf of Joseph and myself, again, thank you so much for allowing us to be here this evening. And thank you for your past and continued support of University of Illinois Extension and helping us do the work that we're hoping to do here in Boone County and throughout the region. Thank you. Take questions again.
Any questions or comments from the board? I know Ms. Bliss has been pulling at my ear. She wants to talk, so.
I always have something to say.
Yeah.
Actually, Mr. Delaney, I was just going to comment about that experience that we had last year. It was so much fun, and you are an excellent moderator. You do have some ideas, so I would love to carry on a conversation with you another time. But I would like to encourage the board as well, if they have the opportunity to participate in things like that. It really was, it was enjoyable to be a part of, and we had a nice turnout. It was a very good experience.
Very well attended. Thank you very much for the nice words. Absolutely. And I remember our conversation at the county fair, following up on that. And yes, we have more to talk about.
Yes, we do.
Did you need to pay her now, or were you going to catch her when she just kidding? Just kidding. Just kidding. Any other questions or comments? Mr. De La Trinidad.
So I attended the one in October, right? So I also thought it was very informative, very thorough. I really enjoyed them. So I also have ideas when it comes pertaining the Hispanic businesses. So definitely me and you should chat that up. So
absolutely, love to follow up on that.
Anything further? Anyone on the phone? Thank you very much, gentlemen. Have a great evening. Drive safe returning home. Next up, I'd accept a motion for to approve the general consent items.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Schabacker.
Second.
Second by Ms. Gieske. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Under new business, we have discussion and perhaps motion on master service agreement and general terms and conditions with Syndeo Networks Incorporated for internet service at county facilities. Mr. Street.
Yep. So this is an item that did not go through committee, and I apologize for that. It came up a little bit at the last minute here over the last week or so. So what this agreement would do, it's with Syndeo Networks Inc. The county's current internet provider at county facilities, we're paying just under $7,000 a year for 150 megabytes of service across the county facilities that are on that service. There have been some issues, and so IT brought this forward last week in the sheriff's office, and they're recommending the contract with the current provider is coming up. And it is an automatic renewal unless we provide notice to them. And so Syndeo is an iFiber, one of the iFiber approved providers. And so the recommendation from staff would be to move forward with this new service with Syndeo Networks. We would be purchasing 250 megabytes of internet service for the total there on that quote would be $3,960 a year. So savings of roughly $3,000 a year for the county. So not a ton of money, but it would be savings for the county. And we'd be getting a faster internet speed for county facilities. And so, again, didn't go through committee, but what we would ask is a motion to approve. There's a master service agreement with Syndeo and also their general terms and conditions document. And so we would ask for a motion to approve those items with pending the review of the state's attorney.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Geeske, seconded by Mr. Schubacher. Any discussion? Any discussion on the phone? Roll call, please.
Carl Johnson,
Yes.
Sherry Geeske,
Yes.
Sherry Bartelt,
Yes.
Ryan Kirk,
Yes.
Freddie De La Trinidad,
Yes.
Ray Larson,
Aye.
Ronnie Riley,
Yes.
Bill Robertson,
Yes.
Steve Schubacher,
Yes.
Tom Walberg,
Yes.
David Wiltsey.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Next up, Administrative Committee, Mr. Curry.
Good evening. Move on to 10.1. I move to approve ordinance 22-03 in case MA-04-2022 Connery zoning.
Motion by Mr. Curry, seconded by Ms. Geeske. Staff report.
Yes, so I wanted to give a quick overview. This is a rezoning request to zone one parcel from A1 Agricultural Preservation District to B1 General Business District. This is a 2.32 acre parcel located along Illinois Route 76 in Belvedere Township. After the public hearing and the review of findings of fact, the Zoning Board of Appeals voted in favor on February 22nd, 2022, 3-0. And the Committee of the Whole also reviewed this and voted in favor on March 3rd, 2022, 6-5. The applicant is on the line if you have additional questions.
Questions by the board? Any questions from those on the line? Would the applicant like to say anything?
Good evening.
Oh, go ahead.
Hi.
You could state your name and could you please give us your name and address for the record, please?
Sure. Suhail Khan. My address is 208 Minuet Circle, Volo, Illinois. It's in Lake County.
Okay, thank you. Go right ahead.
No, I think that's it. I'm trying to just get that land commercially zoned. I have some ideas, but that's later down the line. The first thing is the billboard, and I would have to get it commercially zoned in order to get that done. So if you guys have any questions, you can ask.
Questions?
What's the intent?
Mr. Walberg? Mr. Walberg.
I'm sorry, the intended use, I heard you say was just a billboard?
For now, yes, and a commercial building later on. And I know there's a roundabout coming up too, so I'm working with the Department of Transportation to get an entrance.
Further questions? Any questions from board members on the phone? All right, hearing none. Roll call, please.
Sherry Geeske,
Yes.
Sherry Bartelt,
Yes.
Ryan Curry,
No.
Freddie De La Trinidad,
Yes.
Ray Larson,
No.
Rodney Riley,
No.
Bill Robertson,
Yes.
Steve Schabacher,
Yes.
Tom Wahlberg,
No.
Dave Wiltsey,
Yes.
Carl Johnson.
Yes. Motion carries. Mr. Curry.
Item 10.2, I move to refer planning case SUP -052022 Amoresco Solar Special Use back to the Zoning Board of Appeals for further review.
Motion by Mr. Curry, second by Ms. Geeske. Any discussion?
Where's the location of this
Mr.
one?
Wahlberg?
Thank you.
Mhm.
I wasn't paying attention.
That's okay.
Where's the location of this one, Ryan?
This is the closed landfill location behind the residential facility, the nursing home.
This is the one where they're,
Behind Maple Crest.
Thank you.
yeah, this is the one where they're redesigning the project, isn't that correct? So the redesign would substantially change the outlook. So it really needs to go back to ZBA because of that redesign of that project. Go ahead, Mr. Riley.
The landfill, right? Yeah, thank you.
Further questions? Any questions from board members on the phone? Roll call, please.
Sherry Bartelt,
Yes.
Ryan Curry,
Yes.
Freddie De La Trinidad,
Yes.
Ray Larson,
Aye.
Rodney Riley,
Yes.
Bill Robertson,
Yes.
Steve Schabacher,
Yes.
Tom Wahlberg,
Yes.
Dave Wiltsey,
Yes.
Carl Johnson,
Yes.
Sherry Geeske.
Yes.
Motion carries. Mr. Curry.
Item 10.3, I move to approve ordinance 22-05, planning case SUP-06-2022 Sunvest Solar Special Use 1.
Motion by Mr. Curry, seconded by Mr. Schabacher. Staff report.
Thank you. So this current agenda item 10.3 and the next one, 10.4, are related to the same information that I'm going to give right now. However, we will need two motions. So this is a special use permit request for a solar energy project which is greater than 1 megawatt, and this is the use. The project site is located south of US Route 20 in Boone Township, and these are the two co-located projects of 2 megawatts each on the same parcel that is split the east and west, if you recall, approximately 1 mile west of Garden Prairie. So Planning Commission reviewed the compliance to the comprehensive plan and voted in favor on February 18th, 2022, 3-0. The Zoning Board of Appeals, after the public hearing and review of the findings of fact, voted in favor on February 22nd, 3-0, with changes to one of the conditions, which is number 5.4, to have financial assurance of 100%, a decommissioning cost including salvage value, which has been updated. Committee of the Whole also reviewed this information and voted in favor on March 3rd, 8.
Questions from the board members? Questions of board members on the phone?
The applicant is also here if you do have questions.
Would the applicant like to make any statements?
I'm just here in case you have questions.
Oh, there you are. We're looking at the screen. We're like, where?
Your voice.
You're scaring us.
Sorry about it.
That's okay. Thank you. Any questions of the applicants or of the board to the applicant? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Ryan Curry,
No.
Freddie De La Trinidad,
Yes.
Ray Larson,
Aye.
Rodney Riley,
No.
Bill Robertson,
Yes.
Steve Schabacher,
Yes.
Tom Walberg,
Yes.
David Wiltsey,
Yes.
Carl Johnson,
Yes.
Sherry Geeske,
No.
Sherry Bartelt.
Yes.
Motion carries. Mr. Curry.
Item 10.4, I move to approve ordinance 22-06, planning case SUP-07-2022, Senvest Solar Special Use 2.
Motion by Mr. Curry, seconded by Mr. Robertson. No. Staff report.
So this is that other part of the project, which is the two co-located parts. So this would be like the west side.
Okay. Any questions for staff?
It's being farmed right now, correct? Sorry. I'm raising my hand.
Mr. Curry.
I apologize.
Yes.
Okay.
Any questions for staff from the phone?
Just to add, if you recall, the remaining of what is going to be taken up by the panels will continue to be farmed.
Okay. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Freddie De La Trinidad,
Yes.
Ray Larson,
Aye.
Rodney Riley,
No.
Bill Robertson,
Yes.
Steve Schabacher,
Yes.
Tom Walberg,
Yes.
David Wiltsey,
Aye.
Carl Johnson,
Yes.
Sherry Geeske,
No.
Sherry Bartelt,
Yes.
Ryan Curry.
No.
Sorry. Motion carries. Mr. Curry.
It's all right. I didn't raise my hand. Rid of me. Item 10.5. I move to approve the purchase of a wheel loader from low bidder ALTA Equipment Company in the amount of $191,585.
Motion by Mr. Curry, seconded by Mr. Riley. Discussion. Roll call, please.
Ray Larson,
Aye.
Rodney Riley,
Yes.
Bill Robertson,
Yes.
Steve Schabacher,
Yes.
Tom Walberg,
Yes.
David Wiltsey,
Aye.
Carl Johnson,
Yes.
Sherry Geeske,
Yes.
Sherry Bartelt,
Yes.
Ryan Curry,
Yes.
Freddie De La Trinidad.
Yes.
Motion carries. Mr. Curry.
Item 10.6, I move to approve ordinance 22-07, allowing the county treasurer to adopt a single bidder rule for the annual tax sale.
Motion by Mr. Curry, seconded by Ms. Geeske. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Curry, anything further?
I have nothing further, Chairman.
Ms. Geeske, Finance.
Thank you, Carl. Item 11.1 is a motion to approve claims with the understanding that Carl Johnson abstains from voting on all claims presented by William Charles and on all claims presented from Core, Maine, and all claims submitted by the Boone County Highway Department. Bill Robertson abstains from voting on all claims presented by B. Robertson Lock Service.
Motion by Ms. Geeske,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Schabacher. Discussion. Roll call, please.
Rodney Riley,
Yes.
Bill Robertson,
Yes.
Steve Schabacher,
Yes.
Tom Walberg,
Yes.
David Wiltsey,
Yeah, aye.
Carl Johnson,
Aye.
Sherry Geeske,
Yes.
Sherry Bartelt,
Sherry Bartelt.
Yes.
Ryan Curry,
Yes.
Freddie De La Trinidad,
Yes.
Ray Larson.
Aye.
Motion carries. Ms. Geeske.
Item 11.2 is a motion to approve professional services agreement with Chastain and Associates LLC for an amount not to exceed $332,810.70.
Motion by Ms. Geeske, seconded by
Second.
Mr. Curry. Any discussion?
Don't know if it needs to be noted, but this number is $1,700 less than what we discussed at the Finance Committee. But I guess I'd like to compliment Mr. Justin on that. If he could keep making it go down, we could postpone the vote. But I don't know if that matters if it gets less.
Justin, anything that you want to bring up? I saw you did have a memo on a couple of things. Yeah, before you start, Justin, just so you know, the sheriff's not here, so you don't have to compete for time.
I actually can't take credit for that one. That was Dave Welty's comment last week on the CAD hourly rate of $18 versus $15. So that reduction is what we have in front of us tonight. I'll try to be quick. The consultant had justified that $18 rate. However, just of simplicity and to conform with IDOT's outdated form, they agreed to lower it down to the $15, and that's the difference we see tonight.
Any questions? Mr.
That was
Wahlberg?
where Mr. Wiltsey saved us the $1,700.
There we go. Anything else?
Thank you.
Roll call, please.
Bill Robertson,
Yes.
Steve Schabacher,
Yes.
Tom Walberg,
Yes.
Dave Wiltsey,
Aye.
Carl Johnson.
Yes.
Sherry Geeske,
Yes.
Sherry Bartelt,
Sherry Bartelt?
Yes.
Ryan Curry,
Yes.
Freddie De La Trinidad,
Yes.
Ray Larson,
Aye.
Rodney Riley.
Yes.
Motion carries. Ms. Geeske.
Item 11.3 is a motion to approve Resolution 22-21, sale of surplus property, PIN number 0322452004.
Motion by Ms. Geeske, seconded by Mr. Larson. Discussion. Roll call, please.
Steve Schabacher,
Yes.
Tom Walberg,
Yes.
Dave Wiltsey,
Aye.
Carl Johnson,
Aye.
Sherry Geeske,
Yes.
Sherry Bartelt,
Yes.
Ryan Curry,
Yes.
Freddie De La Trinidad,
Yes.
Ray Larson,
Aye.
Rodney Riley,
Yes.
Bill Robertson.
Yes.
Motion carries. Ms. Geeske.
Item 11.4, a motion to approve Resolution 22-22, authorizing execution and amendment of Federal Section 5311 grant agreement.
Motion by Ms. Geeske, seconded by Mr. Larson. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Tom Walberg,
Yes.
David Wiltsey,
Aye.
Carl Johnson,
Aye.
Sherry Geeske,
Yes.
Sherry Bartelt,
Yes.
Ryan Curry,
Yes.
Freddie De La Trinidad,
Yes.
Ray Larson,
Aye.
Rodney Riley,
Yes.
Bill Robertson,
Yes.
Steve Schabacher.
Yes.
Motion carries. Ms. Geeske.
Item 11.4, no, excuse me, item 11.5 is a motion to approve Resolution 22-23, authorizing execution and amendment of the Downstate Operating Assistance Program, also known as DOPE, grant agreement.
Motion by Ms. Geeske, seconded by Mr. Larson. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
David Wiltsey,
Aye.
Carl Johnson,
Yes.
Sherry Geeske,
Yes.
Sherry Bartelt,
Yes.
Ryan Curry,
Yes.
Freddie De La Trinidad,
Yes.
Ray Larson,
Aye.
Rodney Riley,
Yes.
Bill Robertson,
Yes.
Steve Schabacher,
Yes.
Tom Walberg.
Yes.
Motion carries. Ms. Geeske, anything further?
That's it for finance. Thank you.
Very much. Special committees, UCCI, Mr. Street, anything?
Nothing.
Okay. Community building, we don't have anybody there yet. Community Action Agency is Mr. Chamberlain. He's not here. 911,
Nothing much.
right, he was, I'm sorry, go ahead.
That's okay. Nothing much to report. But just again, they're still running a couple of telecommunicators down. So if you know someone that might be interested in a job in the telecommunication business with Boone County, send them down to the sheriff's office.
Land Bank, Ms. Geeske, anything?
No report, but we are having our next meeting on March 31st at 3:00 in person in Rockford.
Any other committees? Scheduling of committees, Ms. Geeske.
Let's see, hang on a second. Our next committee, the whole finance meeting will be on Thursday, April 14th at 6 o'clock, right here.
Mr. Curry?
Next administration meeting, committee of the whole will be April 7th, same 6 o'clock right here.
Perfect. The informational items. Board member comments, any? Under correspondence, we do have some things, something to talk to you about. We've talked about this in the past. Under Project Kelly, we've talked about some ideas that at some point we would be coming to the board looking for some incentives that we have proposed to Project Kelly and to get a feel from the board. We've in the past gotten a positive feel, but we need to, we're getting down to crunch time, I guess. Ms. Fettis is here still also to help and answer any questions that we can at this point regarding this. And here's kind of what we're looking at. We are proposing, and I'm going to talk in some broad terms here, some up to 10-year abatement of county portion of taxes. So when I say county portion, that would just be what the county would get itself. It wouldn't include the school districts or the park districts or swim club or, whatever else is tagged on there. It would just be the county portion. And then when I say an up to, there's still some language that we're not sure that can be done or we can do. So it's still going through some legality checks to see what kinds of things we can offer to help bring this facility to the county and for our community. So we're trying to get a little bit of a feel from the board. Is anybody, drastically opposed to that type of scenario? If we need some numbers as to what we're talking, Mr. Street, I don't know if you have any ideas of numbers or Ms. Fettis, if there's anything you want to add or questions that you have of her or Mr. Street, myself, things like that. So we're getting down to crunch time is what I'm saying. And I would love to tell you, hey, it's this company and this is what they're wanting to do, but we can't divulge that yet, unfortunately.
Would it help if I share some of the investment that they were talking about?
Absolutely. Please tell us what kind of investment they're putting into this community.
Some time ago, Scannell is the developer that would be purchasing the property. They shared some information. This Project Kelly, as a reminder, is a food processing company that's looking at it for a distribution location that will serve, basically it'll be serving in multiple states. So there'll be a lot of.
This facility also is a 1.3 million square foot warehouse.
It's about 140 million to 150 million project investment. Building materials, that's all in cost for land, infrastructure, and construction is between a 90 and 100 million. Machinery and equipment, because they are relying a lot on automation, would be between 50 and 60 million. It would be, the number of permanent jobs would be 50 to 75. We do not know what the number of construction jobs would be, but it would be local construction jobs. The size of the lot is 1.8 million square feet on a 111.59 acre parcel. And the building square footage is 1.3 million square feet, expandable to 2.0 million square feet in the future. So it's pretty substantial, and I understand it's probably one of the largest facilities you'll see in the larger region.
Absolutely. And this, for location, the location they're looking at is north of Route 20 at Irene Road. So if you remember, we've got just south of there, we've got the interchange at I-90. This kind of facility could really set up in that industrial area some continued growth. I personally have long driven by the Lowe's distribution there on 20 in Winnebago County and looked at it and said, why couldn't that be in Boone County? Here's an opportunity for us to have something like that. As I understand it, this distribution center is going to be a distribution center for the entire Midwest. I mean, they're putting all that operation in this facility. I think this would be a fantastic project. It's not as many jobs as we would like, but distribution warehouses don't tend to have a ton of personnel. But with all that automation, what's going to come with that? I can tell you that all the automation they have out at Stellantis, I almost call them Chrysler, but Stellantis, there are job trailers from places like Cerrone Piping, who is right here in Boone County. They've got a pretty nice facility right there by the interstate in Boone County. They have a job trailer out there all the time because there's always something for them to do. There's going to be those kinds of things where they're going to need to have people to continually maintain those facilities. So while that facility itself may only employ 75 people, the ancillary employment to that, support, all that other stuff is going to be much greater than that. I truly believe that. So, Ms. Gieske, I saw you first.
A couple of questions. I have no spatial ability at all. So you're talking 1.3 to 2.2 million square feet. Think the Amazon up in Beloit. Is that a 1 to 2 million square feet?
I understand it would dwarf that. This is bigger than most Amazon facilities.
Okay, because that goes forever back. Okay.
This is a if I can, I want to say that my footage is probably going to be way wrong, but I want to say the building itself was somewhere around 800 feet long by 700 feet or so. I mean, I saw preliminary plans, easy for me to say. That's with the whole Thanksgiving thing.
Well, if I had any spatial perception, I wouldn't have asked such a stupid question. But so what is left to secure this? I mean, I'm not asking names and details. I wouldn't do that. But what is left to secure this? And are we the last man standing, or do we still have competition?
There's always competition.
I understand that, but.
And we're trying to, it looks very good based on what we've tentatively proposed, but they want some more solid commitments. One, obviously we are a small cog in the whole wheel of things. You know, the city of Belvidere has a much greater ability to incentivize and do things. Plus, we're also working heavy with our state and local reps to secure some additional grants and funding for this project. We're working with the city of Belvidere and with those representatives and senators to do that. I think we can get this done. I mean, I feel pretty good where we're at, but we do need to be able to start telling them, yeah, this is what we can do. And it's, as typical with these projects, they get delays. They want to talk in broad terms. They get more delays. It kind of falls off the edge of the earth. And then all of a sudden it's back and they want to know now, you know, why haven't we decided? Why haven't we started? So.
May I do one follow-up?
Yep.
And in that light, you do need this board's approval for this. So I, for one, want to see some numbers of what our commitment is going to be and what we're going to give up in tax revenue over the 10 years. It's only 10 years. It's not more. It's 10 years.
That's what we're discussing, 10 years.
All right.
We can only give up to 10 years. And that's just based on some language that we're not sure if we can even give up to a full 10 years. But that's, you know, why we're asking.
So I'm only asking that I think we need to see absolute numbers before we are asked to vote on something like this. Does that make sense?
Well, I guess we're not asking for a vote tonight.
No, I'm not. I know that, but down the pike.
Yeah.
For when?
Yeah.
When the vote comes, I hope we will have full access to our financial commitment on behalf of our citizens before we say yay or nay.
Absolutely. And I know Dan and I have been discussing that a number over the past few weeks.
Good.
And we've modified some of those numbers as well. And we're trying to get some clarification on the timeline in which the county can make that commitment. So we'll be working that through next week. And I think just to let you know that they haven't purchased the land, and some of that purchase is based on what contingent upon whether or not some of these grants come through, and these resources come through. One of the challenges that this project has is that they have a third-party logistics company that's actually going to be managing the facility. That's where a lot of companies go. They work with third-party logistics, and I know that they do that in DeKalb, a lot of their distribution companies. The challenge is that some of these grants are third-party logistics companies are seen as temporary agencies. The state has no way to delineate that, but they have to kind of come on board with the new way of doing business. And so we're trying to have them, educate the state, trying to have them modify their language to do that. But again, that creates a problem for this particular project.
There's a project for Mike.
Oh, I probably can figure out a few.
Mr. Curry, you still have something?
Yeah. Obviously, 10-year abatement for a facility that big is quite an investment on our part. I'm not against that because obviously with Stellantis in question, it's nervous for Belvedere. It's for Boone County. When we say local building products and resources, we're not saying Boone County. We're saying Northern Illinois and the area. So I understand that. I guarantee the old Kmart isn't facilitating all the building supplies for this. It's coming from Rockford, Chicago, everywhere else, correct? So how much tax are we getting from building supply? If we use that as a PowerPoint over an abatement, how much money are we receiving from that tax for this material, for this equipment, for the stuff that Boone County isn't providing? Somebody else is getting that tax. We're not. So that's what concerns me on top of a 10-year abatement. So I guess I would like you said, I'm not against this. I think we need something like this. I'm all aboard. Are we cutting our legs off for a Hail Mary for something big to come? And then are we going to be so far under that we're going to have to raise taxes on our own community to substantiate the loss that we're going to have for the time coming? Like, where is the give and take?
I understand. And it's always like, which comes first, the chicken or the egg? And, but that's what a lot of the companies look at. They look at your truck traffic. They look at how much traffic is coming into your community. They look at how many people are residing here. They're looking at their demographics. They're looking at their education levels. They're looking at all these features in order to determine whether or not, more of those type of company like a Lowe's or Home Depot can come to Boone County. I believe that this project is kind of that precursor that we've been looking for to move that infrastructure to the area that we want to see that growth that we've been. Irene Road was developed, 10 years now. It's been a while and there's been no development. Why? Because there's been no infrastructure. And it's, how do we move that? And this is a way that we can move that needle and put some resources into building that infrastructure. And, we're not only talking about, they're purchasing 6-parcel location, making into 3 parcels, building on one, and one will be commercial. The other one will be another location for manufacturing, distribution, another fairly good sized company. So, and then this will give us an opportunity to focus on bringing infrastructure across US 20. So absolutely, I agree that they probably won't buy all their products in Boone County. They'll probably buy it in the region or, where they can find it. But, places like RP Lumber, who's, they exceeded theirs, and not because they got it. People are coming there to shop. It's basically because of their contracts. Contract work. So that's the reason why.
Can I follow up on that?
Sure, go ahead.
I guess the better question was, how can we as a county better facilitate them? Maybe I shouldn't have been as challenging on or as pointing out this because we need them. I believe we need them. If long-range plan, what can we do as a county to maybe absorb more of the revenue that they will bring in, I guess, or tax or whatnot? If we're doing that abatement, is there a way that we can have, or that we can move some kind of manufacturing to help facilitate them and draw on some more of that tax revenue, I guess is probably my better question.
What I like to do is look at the supply chain. So one of the questions I ask businesses is what will help alleviate some of your costs? What kind of business do I need to bring here in order to help alleviate your costs? So, whether or not it be, somebody in the agricultural industry or another industry, we have to talk about their supply chain. What can we do here locally? What can we do in the region? Can a company that is maybe down in providing automotive solutions, can they provide other supplies for the healthcare system? So that's something that we've been talking to the healthcare system and manufacturers about.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Just a moment, Sherry. I've got Mr. Schwacker first.
You had mentioned that Belvedere, City of Belvedere plays a role in what's going on, am I correct?
That's correct.
Would it be appropriate to ask what that role is?
They will be annexating this space in there. So they will be working on an annexation agreement with the company.
Going into the city?
Yes.
Okay, because I know, I was wondering about that because they're going to pull their water and sewer, I imagine, from the city.
Yes.
And one of the good things about that location out there is called the loop system. I don't know if you're familiar with that for the water. Buildings is large, they like to, for the fire suppression system, in case one breaks down, it feeds from the other way, that breaks down. So a lot of times in drawings with larger buildings like that, they look to see it has what's called the loop system, and that is out there. So that's, thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Bartel?
Yes, I have a question. Is that land already, is that annexed to the city or is that still county land?
That's still in the county. They would be, they're negotiating an annexation agreement currently, I believe, with the city. That hasn't been finalized. A lot of this, it all depends on a lot of different things, So, but it would be annexed to the city once they decided that, yes, this is the site.
And generally, you can't get that water and sewer unless you annex.
Ms.
This will
Gieske?
give us the opportunity to also expand the water and sewer capacity as well.
Sure. Ms. Gieske?
You've all heard me say, to your point, Ryan, that you can't buy you couldn't until RP Lumber came here, buy a 2x4 even in Boone County. So the point is well taken. It's going to come from across the region. And I must say, as onerous as doing an abatement might sound, there's another intrinsic aspect that happens. If people see one business here, that attracts others. So it's hard to put that kind of, it's hard to value that. And poor Pam has probably heard me say more times than she wants to admit, let's get some distribution centers here because they don't tax our infrastructure too bad if they're right by 90 because they want to get in and out and go. How many times have I said we're at a midpoint between Minneapolis and Chicago? Perfect spot. So I guess I'm circling back. I think we have to do everything we can to make this happen. But let's not take it in the shorts. Let's make sure that the numbers we're using are right. Make sure that we're all committed to this because if you get one, more will come.
Yeah, that's a good point, Sherry, that I don't know how many people have driven Irene Road south of Newburgh and crossed 20 or tried to cross 20. I mean, there's a stoplight there. But that whole intersection will be revamped with this project, which will make that interchange hopefully more appealing, plus bringing water and sewer that much closer to the I-90 interchange there at Irene, which is huge. I've screamed and hollered about that since I've been on the board, that if we can get water and sewer to that interchange, that's a gold mine. It really is. And opportunities abound. So, yeah, absolutely. Mr. Curry?
I was just going to say the same thing. Having a project like that that's going to bring the water and sewer out there is just going to make it obviously a smaller project to pay for water and sewer to come out there because it's so expensive. So I guess that.
Yeah, and utilizing grants. I mean, grants to do it is the best way we can to help. Biggest bang for the buck. So, I mean, I'm not hearing anybody adamantly opposed to the idea of it. So we have some meetings planned next week to try and nail down some more information and try and get more solidified what we can do, and then hopefully early in April have some numbers for everybody to chew on, and then go from there. So thank you very much for your time on that.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Pam, appreciate it. We do need executive. Oh, I'm sorry. Yep. Okay. Garden Prairie Organics. Mr. Street, you want to take that? Tricia, you want to take that? You want me to take that? So I guess we talked about the potential of having putting together a letter, which we can do. And the state's attorney confirmed that they would take a emailed letter tomorrow or something like that.
That's correct, because the 21 days technically would have been off today, but we verified with the IEPA that they would still accept the letter tomorrow.
Okay, so staff did look into all the different agencies, building, sheriff's department. Go ahead, Dan.
Health, building, planning, and the sheriff.
Okay, just to see about any comments, queries, concerns that anybody would have reported since their last renewal, I guess. There's been nothing new. I don't want to say they've been a model citizen, but I mean, they've been in compliance with everything, and people have not complained about it since they were sued by the Illinois EPA, and then became compliant after that. So it's up to this body. Do you want to still send a letter objecting or issuing a concern to their renewal at this time, or not? I know Mr. Larson is certainly in favor of doing that, and I know he has some other concerns with him, but Ms. Gieske, I saw your hand go up, so I'm going to throw it to you.
Well, I'm sitting awfully close to Ray, so if I say something he doesn't like, he might give me a swat. But while I certainly think it is something worth thinking about, but I think we need to have something tangible upon which to base that. And if we've checked with everybody that might get complaints, and we don't have anything, I mean, we could just say Ray Larson objects. Do you see what I'm trying to say? I think we need to have some substance upon which to base our opposition. Just a thought.
Okay.
Maybe not a very wise one, but it seems to me. I'm thinking back to when we were talking about findings of fact, and we have to have a justification for not agreeing with that. So I guess I'm taking that same sort of theory.
I think if we were going to send a letter, I would base it on past precedents of their actions in the past, and only rectifying those actions when they were literally sued. Even though there were, complaints, there were follow-ups by the county. It wasn't until they were actually sued, they were basically forced to do something. So, that's a hindrance to those people out there. Go ahead, Sherry Elliott.
Well, and just to follow up with what you're saying, but in that suit, they had actual numbers. They were not to exceed 10,000 this, and they were at 19,000. So my point, I guess, I understand what you're saying, but at least there was some factual basis.
Sure. Mr. Schwacher, I think you had something.
So I'm a little lost. What do we expect them to do if this is pretty broad, but if they're in compliance, I guess they must not be, but Sherry hit it right on the head. You need documentation, I think. What are they not doing? You drive by hog farms, it's terrible. I used to be a farmer, so I'm not so sure that it's the EPA, if we can get whatever. Is there, what can we hang our hat on to send a letter and say you're in violation, or just hang it out what we're doing?
Sure. So they're not in violation currently. In the past, they were in violation, and they only rectified their situation after they were sued and basically forced by a court to do so. So the reason, and we objected back then when they had a renewal of this board, sent a letter objecting to their renewal of their application. And the EPA said, thanks, we appreciate your comment. Here's their application. They get to move forward. The idea here was that a concern that in the past, when they got busy, they just did whatever they wanted. They didn't care. They didn't care what the conditions were. They didn't care what the regulations were until they were sued. So the fear is if they get their renewal, they'll revert to past practices. And do I think that letter will do any good if we were to send it? No, not any more than the last one did. They were actually in court and being sued at the time. So if that one meant nothing, then this will mean even less. But at least for those, as Mr. Curry likes to point out, those residents that are around there, they know we've got their back a little bit, that, we have concerns. And even if it's a letter of concern to the EPA, IEPA, that, look, these people have been out of compliance in the past when they got busy. Our concern is if you just grant this to them and they get busy again, they're just going to get out of compliance again. And then nobody in a court or nobody at the IEPA suffers. It's the residents right there that suffer. So that would be my concern. And I would be in favor of sending a letter of at least concern.
Absolutely. It can't hurt, it will help. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Larson?
Gonna have to counterpoint some of you guys here. We could check with our local agencies if they're in compliance with that. Does anybody check if they're in compliance with the Illinois EPA? Because if they're not in compliance with that, we can't sit here and declare that they're in compliance. And I'm sure they're not going to call us up and tell us either. So, but to me, we have to look at the facts of what have happened before here. They've operated for years. They basically teeter-totter between being in compliance and not being in compliance. They've done this. They've had so many non-compliance issues, as I was kind of stated, that the EPA even finally filed a suit against them. That takes quite a bit of non-compliance to have a suit filed against you there. And then it was just kind of mentioned again, the sending a letter, they'll maybe just disregard it. It's kind of, I think, their responsibility to take in consideration anything that they receive there, especially if it's from a county that has a permit themselves issued to a facility that they are regulating. And then, are they going to disregard our letter? We don't know. They could be waiting for a response of us if we are opposed to this facility to make their decision. And they could even already be poised to not renew this permit. We don't know what they're doing. That'd really be something if the EPA did not renew this and the county never said anything about it. The EPA stands up for the people which they should. This is a health hazard. They're known human health hazardous compounds are in the emissions that come off this when it's not operated properly. I would think we'd determined before this. The main problem is this facility, as long as it's operating, it always has the potential to release these emissions at the snap of a finger. It could just, and they're not just light emissions, they're not just odors, they're hazardous to people's health. That's why the EPA is involved with it. I'll always be, so anyway, we decided before, when we saw all these issues, non-compliance issues they had, we realized this is not a good location for this facility to operate. There's over 125 houses directly on the side of this facility. I don't even know if anybody else anywhere puts one of these facilities next to that heavily of a populated area. I really doubt they do. So I support sending a letter opposed to this. We did it before. It's not in a good location. It's just not.
Okay, Ms. Kieske?
As I listened to Ray, I took a look at this and it says the facility will be operated in the same manner as it is currently. So perhaps in wrapping all this kind of stuff up, we reference that they have misbehaved before. We just want them to not misbehave and go back to some of Ray's points here and address it, currently you're not in arrears or whatever the case might be, and you need to stay that way. So I don't know if I'm making any sense, but I think we can reference history. We can reference just the current state that Ray's talking about, and then that could be the contents of the letter, absent any exact numbers of what they're up to right now.
Mr. Larson?
If I could, that statement you read that as it currently is, when they renewed it, the last time they renewed it, that statement it's on every renewal.
Oh no, I'm sure it is.
But at the same time,
sure it is.
that they are claiming as it's currently doing it, as they were not in compliance with the EPA regulations as they were applying for it. I don't know, it's kind of.
I think I wasn't very clear. What I was doing was throwing it back at them. The facility will be operated in the same manner as it is currently. So if currently they're operating without any violations, that's what they should be told to continue to do. I'm sure this is a boilerplate.
I know what you're saying, but
yeah.
They gave, the last time they did give them the permit while they were being sued and they were not in compliance.
So I think a letter is good.
Mr. Walber?
I'll be brief. I second Mr. Larson's comments and support sending a letter. Do we need a motion to do that?
No motion because it wasn't printed, but as long as we get a consensus by the board to do so. Anybody opposed to sending a letter?
I am.
Anyone else?
And I'd like to say something too.
Go ahead, Mr. Welty.
I may. Thank you. The issue of location is completely moot. I mean, if it's functional and it's allowed, it's there. They're not going to take it away because we complain about the location. I have heard no evidence that they're not in compliance now. I understand completely Mr. Larson's concerns about the future, and I don't mind a letter that says we are just concerned that there be continual monitoring to make sure this facility continues to comply, considering the past problems with enforcement, something like that. But to sit there and try to say that, they may do this and they may do that. I mean, it's like somebody gets out of prison and they serve their time and they want to go somewhere and start a new life, and you don't let them get a job. You don't let them do anything. Now, I know that's simplistic and it's individualistic, but you can't take something where there's no evidence whatsoever that they're not in compliance now and use that against them. Statement of concern that they need good monitoring. We need good monitoring, frequent monitoring of this situation to make sure it doesn't happen is fine. I'm good with that. But otherwise, I'm not good with it.
Okay. Thank you very much. All right. We'll put together a letter and send it off to them. I'll get with staff and we'll figure it out. Taking everybody's comments in. All right. Anything else other than we need executive session for personnel? So moved. Motion by Mr. Curry, seconded by Ms. Kieske. Roll call, please.
Carl Johnson.
Yes.
Sherry Kieske.
Yes.
Sherry Bartelt.
Yes.
Ryan Curry.
Yes.
Freddie De La Trinidad.
Yes.
Ray Larson.
Aye.
Rodney Riley.
Aye.
Bill Robertson.
Yes.
Steve Schwaber.
Yes.
Tom Walberg.
Yes.
David Wiltsey.
Yes.
Motion carries. We're in executive session at 7:04. I'm sorry, 8:04.